Hello YouTube, I'm back at it again with another video. This is going to be a dueling video, but this time it's a custom duel. As you can tell by my hand, because these cards don't exist in real life, they're actually very generic OP cards. From what I'm seeing, my opponent's playing a Frozen deck, so I'm about to break the ice. When I think of Frozen, I always think of the Disney Pixar movie Frozen. No pun intended, legs. But I feel like that movie was terrible. And I see a Frozen dragon, I assume there's going to be like frozen popsicles. So I assume he's gonna send Eagles to use the frozen effect. Okay, say it's fine. Have no response. He's gonna switch some from his deck, and then we'll trigger Apprentice effect to search for a frozen spell trap card from her deck to her hand, or whoever, Lady Clutch. And if this just all looks familiar to me. Like I'm not besides the movie. If she's playing a frozen deck, I assume she's gonna be going to a number XC monster that I recall is called number 21 Frozen Lady of Justice. If I'm right, then we shall see. Let's see. I was right. Cause the first time I saw it wasn't even just in the game. It happened to be in an old Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal manga book when I read when I was a young kid. And she sets one card while her Frozen Lady just still face up on the field. This should be a quick duel because I'm about to use Celestial Angel's effect to discard her, and I'll show you just how powerful this deck is. So Spawn, I was able to special summon Spawn using its effect, popping himself and Bountiful Charity, destroying his or her entire back row. Considering I really could not do anything in this situation, that was the only monster I had. Let's wait a bit. Let's see what she has to say. I'll give her time. And she, of course, replies, nice broken cards, and I'll show you the cards that I drew. That would possibly drew. I had Banful Charity. See, just an amazing deck in general. Maybe I'll show you a list of what I'm playing. Let me sign up. So this might take a while, but I have to log in first. Going to Mentos 1. Let me show you my deck profile. It's gonna be really funny. No, I think I know what it's called. Give me a moment. Yes, it's the COVID-19 deck. There were some cards that were supposed to be in there, but I kind of swapped it out. But this is basically supposedly the deck I was playing is a COVID-19 deck. But I think you like the cartridges as compared to before. We have 3 copies of Ash Blossom. We have 3 copies of Celestial Angel if you read her effect. Give you some time. Allows you special summon if a monster from your deck, either your deck or grave or banish zone, as long as it's 100 or more attack or 1800 less defense to your field, as long as you control no monsters, your opponent controls a monster. My bad. We have a plant version of we have a low graded version, a downgraded version of Starving Venom, which he happens to be a plant, but he has a completely unique effect. Cannot be destroyed by battle while in face up attack position, and then it has a quick effect, can set itself face down, and then has a really incredible flip effect. Special summon 1 monster from your grave except end of Starving Venom. In this tree is a plant type monster. We have Extra C, basically a downgraded version of Max C, where if your opponent special summons from the extract, you send it either face up from your field or your hand to draw 2 cards. The last effect doesn't really matter because it's pretty much useless. You never really use that effect unless Max C was unbanned. Link Sky Blaster as a replacement for Phantom Sky Blaster, or like an upgrade. So basically a bigger quantity of Phantom Sky Blaster. How this effect works is You special summon Skyblast tokens up to the number of monsters in your grave, and its standby phase effect is different compared to the original Skyblaster. We have the core Skyblaster, which is a very new, new version of the Skyblaster lineup, as it applies to monsters or cards that are banished. So, as you can see, you can banish one level 4, 3 monster from your grave to special summon it. When this card is normal special summon, you special summon any number of Skyblaster tokens up to the number of face-up cards in the banish zone -1. So even if you have at least one banished card, you won't be able to special summon tokens. And then during your standard phase, you can return one card from your banish zone to your graveyard for each Skyblaster monster you control. And obviously, you play the original Skyblaster. You play Nibiru, maxing out on that because it helps against annoying decks out there. Solemn Master, Monster Cannon, a very interesting effect. But let me go back into Solemn Master. So basically, it's supposed to be original. I want to make a monster of a card that was related to them Solemn Trap cards. So he has the ability, but the thing is, his special effect is a lot. You only play one of him, because you have to banish at least 6 cards, 5, 6, 7 cards to summon him. And then during either player's turns, that you can negate a card effect or summon by paying 12 off your 100 life points. And if this face-up card would leave the field, you draw 2 cards. Monster Cannon, something else. You just play 1 or 2 copies. Has like various effects, and you have an out choice whether you want to target and destroy one card in the field, inflict direct damage to your opponent equal to half of the attributed monster's original attack, or one monster you control gains equal to one monster on the field until the end phase. So it can easily help you out Dragoon if you already have a monster on the field besides him. And then Spawn of Satan, which screwed my opponent over a lot, and that's why he rage quit, or she. We also have Bountiful Charity, draw 5 cards and discard 3 cards. Has a graveyard effect. You draw equal to the number of cards in your grave after you banish it, +1, but you discard equal to the number of cards that are in your grave. And we have Apocalypse, which helps destroy face-up cards, other face-up cards, which kind of relates to what's going on right now in the real world. And then you get to add a monster during your main phase. Either player can do this. Add one monster from their main deck to the hand, but neither player can move monsters from their graveyard to the hand, deck, or field. And then you have an option during the end phase that either player has an option to destroy this card during the end phase. Monster Reborn, Mirage of Time, basically like it's another Mirage of Nightmare, but it only destroys itself. You don't really, but the thing is, it applies to both players. You don't really get rid of the cards that you draw, but it applies to both players to just kind of balance out the game, especially if you bricked or if your hand doesn't really do anything. So that's the whole purpose of playing that card. And just to give you simply have a chance to actually make a comeback against your opponent if you are really behind. And we have Pot of Ultimatum, basically the ultimate Pot of Greed. Allows you to draw 2 cards. If your life points are 4,000 or more, take the 2,000 points of direct damage. During your draw phase, you can banish discard cards from hand until you have 3 or less cards in hand. Draw 2 cards, and if you do skip your next draw phase and you can't draw afterwards, the same thing with Bountiful Charity, Demise of the Lands, Coronavirus. Okay, let me explain how this card works. This only works if you tribute a monster with 3,000 or more attack. Send all monsters from the field to the grave. If not, to the banish zone. Choose 3 unused monster cards on each side, including 2 other main monster card zones. They cannot be used. When this card's effect resolves, neither player can activate monster effects. During the opponent's turn, the turn player must shuffle 1 monster they control, 1 banished monster in the graveyard during the end phase. While this card is in effect, this card's effect lasts until your 4th standby phase. So yeah, very hefty card, has a numerous amount of attacks, but it is worth it because of the monster that you're giving up, or the monster that you're getting rid of in your opponent's monster, simply because it applies to monsters that are too strong. And then you get multiple effects along with it. Ban World, I think, is a really cool card that has a really strong aspect of what it does in the game. Especially, you banish one card from your hand, field, and graveyard. You banish one card your opponent controls, including like not face down, including all the cards. So everywhere, every card with the same name, that means literally everywhere. Whether it's your main deck, extra deck, their hand, their graveyard, field, applies everywhere. So it's worth the cost considering you have to get rid of at least 3 cards. One from your hand, field, and grave. And then the last effect is also very nifty. You can banish this card, control face down, so you don't have any ways of targeting it. If you do add 1 card from your banish onto your hand, except Ban World. And then set rotation, terraforming, playset of droplet, 3 Ice Dragons, prison, infinite permanence, and then metaverse to get into your apocalypse or Ban World, and into the extra deck. Borreload Savage Dragon, Cypher Lord Omega, Axis Code Talker, Appaloosa, Soldier of Chaos, Borland Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon, Tenya Draco Master of the Tenyi, IPE Masquerena, Nightmare Cerberus, Unicorn, Phoenix, Unicorn, Link Spider, Pseudo Code Talker, Security Dragon. Let me actually know how Pseudo Code Talker's effect works. I actually limited, by the way, so it was my decision to do so, but I need to because when you see the effect, it deserves to be a 1. So if this requires 3 effect monsters, if this card points to a monster, this card and that monster gains 2,300 for each monster pointed by this card. Once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon 2 monsters from your graveyard. If you do, your opponent can special summon any number of monsters from their graveyard. Once per turn, you can move this card's left or right link marker. If you do, anytime monster you control battles an opponent's monster, it can inflict double the battle damage. It also gains piercing while attacking a defense position monster. Although, why this card deserves to be limited because its effect is once per turn. But the thing is, so if you summon another one, you can still manage to use this effect again, as long as there's a second one on the field. And the thing is, for the price of summoning 2 monsters, your opponent can special summon any number of monsters. But the thing is that it's like very easy to use. It can be situational for your opponent, because if they're playing a deck that doesn't even rely on using monsters, it can really hurt them because that means I have access to monsters in my extra deck that can destroy the cards from the back row, destroy a lot of cards. So the whole aspect, the whole purpose of making this card was to find and make a link 3 that can create potential OTKs. That can be just as threatening as Link Force, but also requires more monsters, 3 monsters that are effect monsters. And what's crazy is that if you remove at least one of its link arrows that happen to either the left or right, not all. This applies to all monsters, by the way. So anytime a monster you controls, what I mean, not only do all your monsters can do double the damage, they can also deal damage while your monsters are in defense position, especially for those monsters that have lower defense than the monster's attack. So the monsters that are attacking the monster with the lower defense, your opponents will deal damage. And on top of it, when I realized 3 was too much, 1 was perfect number. I personally refuse to ban this card. I'm not really a fan of banning this card. I think it's just if your opponent manages to find a way to get over it or to negate it, then that's where the card is not as broken where it is if you put it at 1, because you should be able to be forced to play 1 copy, so that you have some type of way for players who realize they have a short outcome, is to get them at a higher outcome, because there are decks that prevent them from playing and need ways of trying to how to affiliate your deck is try to boost their attack, find a way to get extra monsters without having to do too much. Because if your opponent managed to negate your cards at least more than once or twice, and this card can really turn things around for players who are struggling, is to give players an opportunity to make a comeback because of how the meta is. And if this card were to be printed Whether it gets banned or not, I guarantee you a lot of players would need this card in their deck, and they would be willing to pay for it just to really strengthen their cards, strengthen their deck, and to strengthen the wins. And again, hope you guys enjoy the deck profile and the duel as well. Expect more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.